Hello everyone. Yesterday we discussed romantic poetry in general, and today we shall focus our study on the romantic poets prescribed in our syllabus. And it would be most appropriate to begin with William Wordsworth, who is the icon of romantic poetry. Wordsworth symbolizes romanticism. So here is a brief biographical sketch of William Wordsworth. Always an insight into an author's life helps in the better understanding of his works. So talking about Wordsworth, he was born in 1770 at Cockermouth, Cumberland. He was the second of the five children of John Wordsworth and Anne Coxon. His sister Dorothy was an important figure in his life. The early years of Wordsworth were spent beside the River Derwent, and his initial schooling took place at a grammar school in Cockermouth. And there, his teacher William Taylor inspired him to compose poems. Wordsworth graduated from Cambridge in 1791, and his experiences of his life at Cambridge are recorded in the third book of the Prelude. He went to France in 1791, and the democratic ideals of French Revolution inspired him greatly. In France, he fell in love with a French girl, Annette Wallin, and in 1792 was born a daughter from her named Caroline. Now, the September massacres of 1792 shook his faith in the revolutionary doctrine, and in 1793 he returned to England. In 1802 he married Mary Hutchinson. Now, the period from 1798 to 1808, which is referred to as the Great Decade, was the most important period in the life of Wordsworth as far as his poetic career is concerned. He got the title of Poet Laureate in 1843, and Wordsworth died in 1850. Okay. Let us take a look at Wordsworth the Romantic. Here are a few of the romantic characteristics that were seen in Wordsworth's works. He revolted against the pseudo-artificial diction of the neoclassical poets. Nature was at the center of his poems. All the romantic poets were lovers of nature, but Wordsworth was the greatest worshipper of nature, and he was a great observer of nature, and his nature poetry is characterized by the truthful representation. Wordsworth always gave importance to individual rather than to the society, and he used imagination of high order, which makes his poems unique. Wordsworth used imagination to reveal a sense of mystery and uncommonness in the ordinary objects of nature and human life. So, the ordinary things of life and nature took a new appearance and acquired a new charm under the imaginative treatment of Wordsworth. Now, Wordsworth gave importance to emotions rather than thoughts. He adopted various lyric forms like the ode, the sonnet, the blank verse, and he ignored the conventional subjects and manner. Lyrical ballads and the prelude are the important works of William Wordsworth. Lyrical ballads, in collaboration with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, was published in 1798, and it is a turning point in the history of English literature. It marked the beginning of the Romantic movement. This volume consists of 23 poems, 19 by Wordsworth and 4 by Coleridge. Now, the purpose of the poems of these two poets in this volume is well stated by Coleridge in his work, The Biography Literaria, where he writes, quote, Mr. Wordsworth was to propose to himself as his object to give the charm of novelty to things of every day and to excite a feeling analogous to the supernatural by awakening the mind's attention from the lethargy of custom and directing it to the loveliness and wonders of the world before us, an inexhaustible treasure, but for which, in consequence of the film of familiarity and selfish solicitude, we have eyes yet see not, ears that hear not, and hearts that neither feel nor understand. Unquote. So, the purpose of Wordsworth's poems was to tell the stories of the common people, of the ordinary and the commonplace things, and to give the charm of newness and to offer the pleasure of moral elevation. Coleridge, on the other hand, took up the supernatural. Now, the two poems by these two poets, which reflect the whole spirit, are The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge and The Lines Written a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey by Wordsworth. Besides Tintern Abbey, the poems of Wordsworth included in the volume are Lines Written in Early Spring, The Thorn, Simon Lee, and so on. Now, in 1800 came the second edition of Lyrical Ballads with an added preface by Wordsworth, and in 1802 the third edition with an appendix on poetic diction. So the second edition of the Lyrical Ballads, which came out in 1800, contained more poems and a preface by Wordsworth, which presented his theory of poetry and poetic diction. So here are the important lines from the preface, which explains Wordsworth's conception of the origin, nature, and purpose of poetry. So Wordsworth says, quote, Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, and it takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. It is the breath and finer spirit of all knowledge, the impassioned expression that is in the countenance of all signs. Unquote. So, Wordsworth, according to Wordsworth, poetry is spontaneous and it cannot be made to order or made to flow through artificially. Wordsworth believes that poetry is born not in the mind but in the heart, overflowing with emotion. So, the deep emotion is the fundamental condition of poetry. Wordsworth further says that Poetry takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. So, according to Wordsworth, the emotions sink into the poet's mind along with the object or incident that had excited it, and there it remains till the unessential ingredients are eliminated, and what remains is its essential or ideal truth. So the poet, and later on, when the poet recalls the object or the incident, the emotion, purified and idealized, revives with it. So the excitement of the original experience is gone, and the poet lives in his imagination through the whole experience, again in a calm and tranquil manner. So Wordsworth explains the process of poetic creation. He believes that the aim of poetry is ultimately to do good to the world by extending the range of human sensibility. Now, regarding the subject matter of poetry and mode of expression, Wordsworth writes, quote, "The principal object, then, proposed in these poems was to choose incidents and situations from common life, or to relate or describe them throughout in a selection of the language really used by men, and at the same time to throw over them a certain coloring of imagination whereby ordinary things should be presented to the mind in an unusual aspect." Unquote. So, in this, Wordsworth uh, means that in search of themes, the poet should go straight to common life, and secondly, in the treatment of such themes, he should employ the language which is used by man. And thirdly, it should be the language of man in a state of vivid sensation. It should also have a certain coloring of imagination. And there cannot be any essential distinction between the language of prose and the metrical composition. Ligui and Kazamian says, Wordsworth's realism is a complex product in which, along with the desire for truth, a love of nature and simplicity, and a reaction against false nobleness commingle with a social faith in the dignity of the humblest lives. So Wordsworth's theory of poetry and poetic diction represent his aim to bring the language of poetry to naturalness and simplicity. So here he declares that his chosen theme is no other than the very heart of man, that the language of poetry should be the language really used by men.